Welcome back to Creativity Inside and Out. We'll continue now with Leonor de la Vega and her palm fronds. In talking about the palm fronds, you mentioned queen palms. And that's a specific kind of palm that you use?
Yeah, it's the type of palm frond that produces a date. They're like these orange-colored balls that they bloom, they produce a fruit, and they fall to the ground. They're really annoying.
Are they edible?
Not to humans. I think the rodents like them. No, they're. I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Right.
You know, I've never tried to eat one, but they don't look very edible. They don't. I'm sure they're sweet.
So like coconut palm trees, and I don't even know, I guess there's a bunch of different varieties of palm trees, right?
Oh yeah, there's, sure. There's all types. I don't know all of them, but I don't know. There's the Mexican fan palm tree, which doesn't really have a frond, you know, in the same way that I use. But it's really the queen date palm tree that I use, because that's the one that gives me the surface that I need.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Do you think, going back a little bit and talking about inspiration and being an artist, do you think life-changing events in people's lives, do you think that kind of inspires people sometimes to be artists? Maybe because it's therapeutic, because, I don't know.
You know, art can be a form of therapy, can be very cathartic. I think for me it's been very cathartic. I feel like I've worked out, I've had pieces where I've worked out a lot in that piece. I think to keep it all in is tough for anybody, let alone an artist. I mean, someone who's naturally creative. It makes sense to put some of that energy. It's like turning any trauma that you have or difficulty and making something positive out of it is really rewarding.
Yeah. And what do you hope that other people feel or get out of looking at your art?
Oh, I'd hope that they have a connection to it in some way. I you know, if they can feel a sense of beauty or maybe even calm, or I don't think anyone's been disturbed by what I do, but you know, but I think maybe a sense of what's possible as an artist and what's possible in creativity, that you know, you're not limited to a square, you're not limited to a canvas, it's wide open, you know, hopefully inspire others to express themselves in that particular way. Yeah.
I've heard people say, and once again, me knowing nothing about art, right? But I've heard people say when they go through like a gallery, they go, oh, that piece speaks to me. You know, and for me, I've never quite understood what that means. I'm like, okay, it's pretty, you know, but what's your interpretation of what that means to people?
I guess people buy art for different reasons. You know, maybe they need to fill a space on their wall. Maybe they're looking for a gift for somebody. It can be a host of reasons. You know, you know, some people might go into a gallery or see a piece somewhere and it speaks to them for some reason that maybe they don't even understand. Maybe it's the expression, maybe it reminds them of somebody or something, you know, a landscape. Maybe they feel like it's deja vu to them, or maybe it's something that's just totally unique that they feel they need to acquire it, or it's something that they want to have in their life, in their presence, in their space. So I guess for some people, I think art that grabs them, catches them off guard. Sometimes they are looking for something specific.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. But sometimes they may say, I was looking for this, but I saw this.
I'll bet that that's the case
Yeah.
for some people. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend, we went on a cruise together, and they have the art auctions on cruises. It was a Mexico cruise. Yeah. And they auction off from, they had some Andy Warhol stuff, Prince probably, you know. But she got carried away and she bought thousands of dollars worth of art. And then after the auction, she says, my husband's going to kill me.
Oh.
I said, you did hear them say that all sales were final, didn't you? You know? But she had some pieces that came up. And there was one that had a tree of different seasons, you know, right side up and upside down. Yeah. And she had to have that piece, you know. And her husband didn't kill her, but he wasn't happy about that.
Well, when it's a piece like, you know, a famous artist or well-known artist, I mean, it's only going to be worth more in time. So there's that side of it. Some people are collectors. Some people, they say that as you get older in life, and if you like art, like that as you get older, you do start to collect art. You become a collector. That's your way of, you know, sort of giving back and supporting the artist. But I think, you know, anything can speak to anybody, really. That's why it's like art is so, it's just, to define art is so hard, you know. I think it's difficult because if somebody sees something and they can feel the artist in that piece, and I think the soul and the heart of what went into that, I think that's when it speaks to you, you know.
Right, right. Do you ever paint outside, or do you do everything here in your studio?
I don't paint outside. Well, doing what I do with the palm frond, I don't, because I find that it's a little distracting to me. The paint dries a lot quicker. So I'm fighting different things outside than I would normally. Inside is a little bit more controlled environment, which I like for working. I can control my light situation indoors and as opposed to outdoors.
Probably noises too, right?
Well, that too, what's going on around me does affect me. Also, it's just easier to have everything I need within reach. My music is here, you know, my special lighting. It would be a lot for me to have to take outside to work. Unless I'm doing something small, if I'm practicing watercolor or something different, that it's more of a sketch piece, and I'll be outside. Or if I'm wanting to sketch, you know, landscape or something that is outside, that lives outside, is like a pre-study, then yeah, it makes sense to be outside.
Do you listen to music while you're working?
I do.
What do you listen to?
Every session that I starts with Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. Every single painting session I will start off with that. I usually graduate to rock. I'll graduate to like Jimi Hendrix, listen to some Jimi Hendrix, some maybe more rare recordings, or just kind of like studio recordings that I have that I really like. And then
I love this.
I'll move to like David Bowie, you know, who David Bowie has just been something that I kind of discovered later in life. But it's just like finding a treasure, you know. There's so many things I hadn't heard from him. I mean, the same with, you know, jazz. Miles Davis opened me up to jazz in general. I mean,
really?
I didn't get it, but something clicked when I heard that first album. So if you would ask me if I was on a island, that would be one of the CDs that I would take, one of the albums I would take with me, I would have to have.
You must have a pretty extensive music library then.
I do. I've collected a lot of music. Some of it's digital. I have a lot still on CD. I just
Yeah, me too.
I'm not fully on subscription. You know, there's so many subscriptions for different things in my life. I treasure what I have in CD form, and I can play them anytime I want. Some stuff I have collected and transferred onto my computer that I can listen to. So I've kind of in sort of both worlds when it comes to how I listen to music.
Nice. Do you ever vary the music for the mood of the piece you're working on? Like if it's an angrier looking piece or a more calming looking piece?
Some pieces, gosh, I probably turned on 9 Inch Nails. That's probably the hardest, most intense and darker music that I've listened to while painting a piece. Maybe not so much a palm frond, but some of my canvas paintings I've listened to 9 Inch Nails. Another artist I've really liked through the years was Chris Cornell. I just think he has such a beautiful voice. He had such a beautiful voice. The same with David Bowie, both kind of crooner types, modern crooner types that I really like.
Yeah, I can see the similarities.
Yeah, and then like Nina Simone. I listen to her music while painting a piece, just because I felt inspired, and I think a lot of times I get my inspiration from, I like things that are exotic or rare in life, people in nature, that really attracts me. Unique things in life, unique people, things that are rare or hard to come by, inspire me.
That's true too, yeah. Yeah, people with different stories, and
it's just a discovery, that I never heard of this person before. I never heard their music before, and I can understand why they're so attractive. They're treasures. I feel like it's something to be treasured and appreciated.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. And you play guitar too.
A little bit. I'll probably be a beginner forever for the rest of my life. But yeah, I find it calming. I picked it up 5 years ago. I really struggled though, because I was doing it all wrong. I took some classes with other people, but the only guitar I had was a Spanish guitar that my dad gave me, and it was really hard to play. The neck was really fat, and I didn't realize that. I didn't know much about playing, but I started with the acoustic guitar, and then eventually found a guitar that sort of spoke to me, that sounded good. So I pretty much stuck with that one, and I just play, try to play a little every day, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, just to keep my calluses built up.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm always learning something, and I would like to explore it further. It's just more of a time frame thing right now. So I teach myself what I can.
Yeah, I still play my piano, not as much as I used to, but I love, it's a way of getting back in touch with who I am, when I play.
Right. It's I think it's essential because it's a part of you that is there, and I'm sure that sometimes I wonder, if I don't paint for a while, I go through periods where I don't, and then I wonder when I go back into it, why did I stop doing this? This feels so good.
Right. It's endorphins, isn't it? Endorphins?
Oh, it is. It really is. I think it just makes you feel more human, right? I mean, it's a language. It's another way of communicating.
Yeah, whether it's music, whether it's painting, or any art form.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, any type of creativity. I mean, creativity is so broad. Yeah.
Oh, it is. It is. We talk about that in the promos, too, that we ran prior to the show launching. If you go back and watch some of those, we talk about where does art come from and why do people do art? And we said we'd discover it on the show, which is what we're doing. Yeah, we're looking at that. In an ideal world, what would your personal life be like? And professional, I guess, all encompassing.
If I had the means to just paint 100% of the time, I would love to do that. I don't want to say that I don't know if I'd want to make doing art a living, because then it becomes something else to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I would like to be doing it more often than I am doing. I mean, I'm still in my working years. I love what I do in terms of graphic design. I mean,
Yeah.
I really, I absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's my second love. But in an ideal world, I think I'd love to have a bigger art space, maybe 3 to 4 times bigger than what I have here. More room would really be good. We'll get there, and I would like to have more of a presence, more of a presence of where I can show my art. I'm working on that, but it's just timing and everything.
Right, right. You're talking about that. I think about recording artists who maybe have their first big hit songs, and then the pressure is on for them to recreate, what they did before. You're talking about, like, I guess expectations that people might have for you to keep producing once you hit a certain level, And I don't know that that's necessarily good for an artist, to have that kind of pressure on them.
Now, if you're talking about a recording artist, I think that's where, where I differ from that. I mean, artists that do, I think, work full time, that if that's their living, and they have gallery representation and people that represent them, then that's a pressure, probably very much like the recording artists. I don't have that because I'm not at that place in my life. I just have, my worst critic is me. I mean, I'm my worst critic, really. Nobody's putting any expectations on me right now in terms of me.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I admire about musicians, is that it's a team, it's a group, and I think it's just something that's so much different than what I do visually. Because with my art, it's just me. It's I'm solo, but that's what makes music so beautiful. Is that it's immediate. It's an immediate flow of creativity to be enjoyed in that moment. I mean, I can enjoy what I do in my moment, but the ultimate goal is to have the piece finished, and it's not something that gets played over and over and over or changes with time. It's fixed.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's very, very true. Because, even recording artists, when they play live, sometimes they won't. Or they strive for it not to sound like the recording. They try to change it up some and refresh it maybe.
Yeah, now if I was a performance artist, or if I was a different type of genre of art, there's that too, where people, an artist will assemble something that will be art for that period of time, and then it gets destroyed. So again, it goes back to, what is art? And how many types of ways can you create art? It's just all over the place.
And your pieces are timeless.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I know it's going to outlive me, but hopefully it doesn't feel dated. I don't know. I mean, in terms of in terms of, like digital art, and, there's always new forms of art being created, will it still be timeless? I'm not sure.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I guess time will tell.
Yeah. Do painters ever, it's just a thought that came to mind talking when you're mentioning bands working together. Do painters ever collaborate on pieces? Is that ever done?
Oh, yeah.
It is?
Sure. I mean, collaboration. I mean, what if you have a few graffiti artists working together? I mean, sure. I mean, throughout history, sure. I mean, look at Andy Warhol. He, had, what did he call it? factory. You know, he called his, where he had his entourage and his workspace, he got to the point to where he would have the main vision, but then he'd have people that were actually doing the silk screens for him, the work for him.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
he
know
had
anything about art. Yeah.
yeah.
And he oversaw what
He
they were
oversaw,
doing?
yeah, he art directed. I mean, it's funny because he started out as an illustrator. I think as a retail illustrator at some point. I mean, I remember seeing a show where he did illustrations of shoes and garments. But yeah, so I mean, he that was Andy Warhol working. That was his job, you know, at the time. But yeah, as he became, you know, more notorious, yeah, he had people doing the work for him, and that, you know, that's, I'm sure, true of many artists. So you have many stages. You know, if you're a sculptor, you know, at some point you're going to need somebody to foundry the artwork, the sculpture, create the piece for you that you've sculpted. So you find a foundry, and then you have a different set of workers.
I have no idea what that is. What is that, foundry?
My dad could probably explain it, because he's, you know, he was a sculptor for many years.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have all sorts of, sure, artists collaborate. I mean, I mean, I think I'd like to be a little bit more one of those artists. I would like to. I've talked about it with a friend of mine who's, she's a writer, and she's also sort of a therapist. But we've talked about collaborating on some pieces, you know, somehow. Even if it's, you know, just putting together a show where you have multiple artists doing different genres of art. You know, yeah, I would love. I sometimes miss that community that I think musicians have.
Right.
You know, that's something I admire.
Yeah, yeah. And where can people find your art? Website, you know, that kind of stuff.
Right now, my website, leonordelavega.gallery.com, is where I have my site. It's not a commerce site, but it's a site that you can go check out what I do.
Right.
And if anything interests you, then, you know, contact me.
Okay.
But for now, yeah, I don't have any pieces anywhere just yet, but I'm always looking to see, you know, I've, you know, used to do a few more outdoor shows that I do now, but, you know, just, I think making sure that I have an inventory of enough pieces to show is kind of important.
Right. Is there a required number of pieces for like art shows or galleries?
Well, it depends. If it's a solo show, you should have anywhere between 12 and 20 pieces. I mean, that would be my goal. But
you have that though, right?
if I was to pull everything, I know I have 12 pieces.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're not flying out the door, but I'm also not pushing them out the door either. You know, I'm not working hard enough on that. But yeah, somewhere I think, yeah, you know, if you're doing a group show, then you obviously don't need that many pieces, you know, 3 or 4.
Okay. And stepping back a bit again, you paint mostly animals, or do you do people, or?
So I think as of late, the last couple of years, I've wanted to transition. You know, they all fit the format of what I call masks.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you know, there's eyes and a nose. They're facial, but they've always been sort of maybe more people inspired. But lately, because of my love for animals and nature, I kind of started experimenting with doing more animals as masks. And yeah, I'm enjoying it, actually.
Nice. What are some of your favorite pieces that you've done?
I really like the way the owl turned out. The wolf, I like the way the wolf turned out. The lion. I did sell one piece that I don't have last year. It was a female lion. That one really came out great. I have a photo of that, but okay. I really like the way that one came out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what are you thinking for the future? We're going to show one in the demonstration, but beyond that one? What are you thinking for future animals or faces?
Well, I notice that with the animals, I feel like I want to start incorporating more color into what I do. This piece that I'm working on now is the elephant, but I want to incorporate more color than what I've done in the past with the elephant. Yeah, because I think that the more colorful the piece is, the more attractive it is.
That's interesting.
And I think it gives me a chance to work with color more, which I really love. I mean, I love the chalk, working it in with my fingers, but I think the color is really important.
Nice. Okay. Well, is there anything else that you want to share that we haven't touched upon about you, about your art? Anything?
I think I'm just, there's a lot of things in nature that inspire me. As I said before, things that are exotic, people inspire me. I think that I developed just a love for, things that are indigenous, and I never want to misappropriate by anything I do. And I often wondered, am I appropriating? Am I misappropriating anything? I hope not. But I think that my style, what I do sort of is a little bit of a nod toward totemic style. I mean, they're not just paintings. There's something a little bit different about them. It's like, they feel like every piece I do is sort of like part of a tribe, part of my tribe. In a way, it's bizarre. But they're like votives, they're like wishes, they're like, it's just different than anything I've painted flat before. I think because it's already got a natural theme built in. It's, it's not a blank canvas, looking out, painting what you see outside of a window. It's already sort of a fixed theme, a mask, but...
As you're saying this, I can see like family, like you said, tribe, kind of like a family.
Yeah, I think part of me is always looking for my tribe. They're alive in a way, and I look at them and they look at me, and maybe I impart some wishes on them, maybe I impart some, it's like working in the garden, you're creating something, you're making something grow, you've seen something come to fruition, and in that way, maybe it's a little, I don't know what the word is to say, but maybe, I almost want to say pagan, but I'm not sure that it is, because I'm not worshiping.
Right.
But it's just something that's kind of coming out of me in a form that's probably a little bit unusual.
I think they're beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.